This is the Oconomowoc Dems function.
Middle Wisconsin is a group that started about 4 years ago going on. And I want to read you the mission statement. Fairness, respect, community. Middle Wisconsin is a citizens network promoting just and transparent government, quality public education, healthy communities, thriving local economies, and environmental stewardship. Our goal is to harness our energy in the best way to foster positive change for our families, our friends, our state, and our country. And I find it really remarkable that they came up with this mission statement because it was all inclusive. And so we started publishing a newsletter, and in our area, at least, it got quite a bit of, good reception. At middlewisconsin.org, if you haven't seen it, take time to go out, please, and just look at middlewisconsin.org. We have huge potential now. What I wanted to mention today is that we need to learn how to be all-inclusive. In other words, and you've heard it here several times today, we have to learn how to message. We have to include the people that we don't get along with, that we don't understand. Please, I'm gonna sound really hard here for a few minutes. I'm gonna put on my tradesman hat. I'm gonna be a refrigeration guy for a while. Most of us probably at one time or another were at the big protests in Madison. Okay, 100,000 people there. I was down there for 2 of the largest days. And by my nature, I was wearing my refrigeration guy hat. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm talking about here is messaging. I watch the teachers, speakers talk about me, and all the things I am losing. All around us were the Boilermakers, the tin knockers, you name it. All the tradespeople were there, giving their heartfelt support. And in the 2 days I was there, I never once heard a thank you. I think we need to understand that we have to become fully inclusive. And if we are not fighting for that farmer in Clark County and for that Boilermaker, we're done. But we can't allow ourselves to be divided like this anymore. It's got to come to an end, and that means working with all of our people across the state of Wisconsin. So, just some thoughts. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you, Dwayne, for bringing us together at this crucial time in Wisconsin's history. I came here to work. Are you willing to put in the arduous hours and days and weeks ahead to form a new grassroots coalition in Wisconsin to build a bigger and better vision for Wisconsin? My immediate family is facing many of the same issues your families are facing. An uncertain future, stress at work and school, and eking out time in a very full day for quality, meaningful family time together. The second reason is I want to share what I learned from Adam Dunnick, who is the Executive Director of WIN Minnesota. They've got the data and research piece, they've got the messaging piece, they've got the funding piece in place. After the meeting with Adam, I began putting the pieces of Wisconsin together. So I got to thinking, would there be a way for us in Wisconsin to learn from the WIN Minnesota strategy? And could our groups in Wisconsin begin to coordinate the vision and their values, their time, their funds, their strategies to form a cohesive group, to get more progressives elected beginning at the local level? So the third reason I'm here is just to explain my vision of winning for families. I chose winning for families because I want to win. I want to win for families. I discovered at a strategy session in Eau Claire on December 6th that a Wisconsin version of WIN Minnesota is beginning to coalesce with several other organizations joining forces. This gives me hope that eventually more groups will join the circle to coordinate the crucial work that needs to be done in Wisconsin.
First of all, a quick recap, in case anyone has forgotten. In the November election, the partisan divide in our state, if it was possible, got even wider. 96% of voters voted for the party they were registered with. The key, of course, was that the energized voters in the election this last fall were Republicans. Democrats needed a wave of young and female and minority voters who were eligible to vote. They were out there. I know they exist, but they didn't show up in the numbers Democrats needed to overcome the Republicans, the energized Republicans. What we have here now, in my opinion, is a situation where Republicans and Democrats are playing two different games. So that's the Democratic game, is we're trying to convince people we have solutions, and we're trying to talk to them rationally about vote for Democratic candidates and you'll get these solutions and solve these problems. And we're trying to change minds, and we're trying to convince people. Republicans, they're not really interested in changing minds or convincing people. They're talking to one audience, those who are already decided, those who have already made up their minds. That's who they're talking to. And they want that audience to be energized. And then they want that audience to turn out in extremely high numbers at the polls. It's the progressives who have come to believe that there's a positive moral value in broad-based participation in government. Okay? The progressives who have placed a positive moral value on that. Republicans just don't place a positive moral value on broad-based participation in government. They're indifferent to it. I would simply make some quick suggestions here. First off, start playing the same game. Recognize that elections are not about making rational arguments. They're about getting voters to the polls to vote for your candidate. Democrats need to constantly reinforce philosophical beliefs. Need to create a positive feedback loop, which is constantly reinforcing the core beliefs of the party. That is more important. Loyalty and energy follow from that. That is more important than rational argument for particular issues, in my opinion. Parties should identify and promote candidates who believe in these core issues, even if they don't have name recognition, even if you think they can't win the race, even if you think maybe another candidate who's maybe a little more centrist. We all have little narrow silos. We need to break across the silos. I think Elizabeth Warren is right on. You know, what does the Democratic Party stand for? There has to be something that unites all the silos. Now, the Tea Party keeps saying they want freedom from government. Well, the progressive movement is about freedom, but freedom from economic oppression and economic exploitation. It's not about poor versus rich. It's about the government serving the people instead of serving the corporations and putting itself in between. And I think that that can be a unifying message for those who are looking for messages. So I thank you very much again for being here, and I look very much forward to seeing all of you again in the future. Thank you.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about the future of this state and where we are and what the challenges we face are. I don't apologize in any way for trying to deal with raising the standard of living and trying to improve the living conditions for the poorest in our society. In fact, I would venture to guess that the vast majority of people who are progressives who are involved in the Democratic Party would embrace that and say, yes, that's something that we should be doing. We should be caring about the least among us. That doesn't mean we should in any way give an inch on the fights that we have historically fought and currently fight for the middle class in this state and in this country. And that, to me, is our challenge. So what's happened? Why is it that the party, who for decades was associated with the working person, with the middle class, all of a sudden is not able to win elections with that key part of the electorate? wake up in the middle of the night. A lot of the key messages and the key issues on the other side are those issues where I don't care about anything else except whether I can go and purchase this gun and have nobody ask any questions. And I don't care where you are on pensions, I don't care where you are in health care, because the most important thing to me, because, and again, trying to put myself in that person's shoes, I'm not rich, I'm never gonna be rich, I've got my family and I've got my hunting. And that's all I care about. And if you threaten either one of those, even if we don't threaten them, but if they perceive through misinformation that we're going to do it, then they don't want to have any part of us. So where do we go from here? I want us to organize. I want us to reach out to new constituencies. I want us to get our message of hope out there, and it has to be a positive message. There is nothing wrong in having a state where people can support their families, send their kids to college, have health care. In Milwaukee with the police community relations, yes, that's a real issue, but underlying those issues are the issues of hopelessness and despair. And we cannot, as a society, systematically deal out different segments. And I think that the other side is comfortable in doing that. The sun will shine again. I guarantee the sun will shine for us again. It's just gonna take a little work. So let me stop there. Again, thank you very much for having me.